So in 3.6, we worked on some special cases, and now we're going to actually go backwards. So if you remember those special cases, um, some of them looked maybe like this: 2x plus 1 and 2x minus 1. And what we found out when we FOILed it is we would get 4x squared minus 2x plus 2x minus 1. And then what was happening is that these would cancel out, and we would be left with a binomial as our result instead of a trinomial. So if you notice, this is the same idea. So now you're actually going backwards. So let's think about which two binomials did this start as? And there's actually a pretty simple way to think about it. And what you can do is actually you can just take the square root of each of these numbers to find out your results. Okay, so we have a special name for this. It's actually called difference of squares. Right, so the difference is the subtraction sign of two squares. So the square root of 16 is 4. The square root of 16n squared is 4n. So those will be our first terms in each binomial. And the square root of 9 is 3. And as you notice with the pattern, 1 is going to be positive and 1 will be negative. So these are kind of fun to do because you can just think about them according to the patterns. And now again, we had another type of binomial that was when you had the same binomial squared, right? So we were writing it like this, expanding it, and then we would minus 2x, right? We would FOIL it out, and then we would notice that this pattern happened each time where the middle term was double the other term. Okay, so a similar thing will happen here. Okay, so if we have a look at this, we can also think about the square root of each of these to find out our answers. Okay, so the square root of 16b squared will be 4b. So those are actually going to be both of our first terms. And I recognize this pattern. I recognize that it's going to be something squared. Okay, so this should be negative 20b minus 20b. So once you see these patterns, often you'll see that they show up over and over again, and you'll get better at solving them. So both of my first terms are going to be 4b, and I need to get a positive 25 out. So it's going to have to be negative 5 times negative 5. And I knew it was negative because this middle term is going to be negative. So my result here could look like this, or we could write it even more simplified version, which is 4b minus 5 squared.